absolutely relevant to the present scenario and social ambience where everything from day-to-day functioning. Gaining livelihood to a healthy environment is uncertain, resulting in a huge section of society being identified as vulnerable. Respected President, Honorable Justice Devan Ramachandran, Honorable P.T. Thomas MLA, Advocate Jodi Vijaykumar, respected seniors, my dear friends, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome you all for today's webinar, Justice to Vulnerable People and Statutory Commission in India, Role and Effectiveness. Good morning to you all once again. Now let us observe 1 minute silent prayer.
Good morning.
Now I welcome Advocate Vinay to welcome the gathering.
Thank you, Jasmine, Madam. See, Excellence, the Honorable President of the Indian Lawyers Congress High Court Committee, who is presiding over today's webinar.
Good morning. Good morning.
Honorable Mr. Justice Devan Ramachandran, sir, Honorable Sitting Judge of the Honorable High Court of Kerala, respected P.T. Thomas, sir, MLA, Trikakara Constituency, Srimati Jodi Vijaykumar, former sub-editor, Indian Express, and presently practicing advocate. Learned senior advocates who have joined us on our kind invitation to this webinar. Ernakulam Bar Association President and other former Bar Association Presidents, the ILC Ernakulam High Court Unit Committee Secretary Ajit Kumar sir, the Executive Committee of the ILC, various unit presidents across the state who have joined us in this webinar, office bearers, dear friends, senior advocates, and colleagues. A very good morning to you all. In this webinar, we have gathered here. We know that it is a pandemic time, a dark time, where people are finding it difficult to even do their daily course, attend their professional life, and etc. During these dark periods of pandemic, I would say a ray of light, hope has emerged, at least in an intellectual professional level, as many various webinars are being organized across the globe with various professionals, intellectuals, and other learned members who are ready and willing to spread knowledge, information. A wise man once said, if your aim is ultimate peace, you can do two simple things: feed the hungry and spread knowledge. With that ultimate aim, Indian Lawyers Congress High Court Unit Committee is organizing this webinar with the topic Vulnerable People, Access to Justice, the Role and Effectiveness of Statutory Commissions. In this webinar, we have three luminaries from three distinct different fields. We have the renowned and learned judge, Honorable Mr. Justice Devan Ramachandran sir, a socially committed and active judge of the Honorable High Court of Kerala. We have Sri P.T. Thomas MLA sir, the sitting a parliamentarian and the fourth time MLA. He is presently the MLA of the Trikakara constituency. And we have Jodi Vijaykumar, former sub-editor of the Indian Express, former lecturer, and a vivid lawyer for the time, now presently practicing, who had fought many battles, especially for women and other sections, vulnerable sections of the society. Now, let me come to my duty. It is my privilege to welcome the dignitaries and guests who have gathered in this webinar. Sri C. Valsalan sir, the Honorable President of the Indian Lawyers Congress High Court Committee, He is the presiding officer of this webinar. He had taken great steps and has given the High Court Unit Committee, Seminar Committee, all kinds of supports to organize this webinar. And I humbly welcome Sri C. Valsalan sir, the Honorable President of the Indian Lawyers Congress High Court Unit Committee, to this webinar. Honorable Mr. Justice Devan Ramachandran sir, a judge of the Honorable High Court of Kerala who needs no reference at all, no introduction at all. It is well said that a judge communicates to the society through his judgments and orders. And sir, we are proud to say that you were always loud and clear in your communications. Your orders have proved to be the most beneficial ones when a common man is considered, whether it be the basic amenities of commuting in the public roads, whether it be taking a stick of contempt to teach lessons to the public officials who failed and continuously failing in their duties, to see that common man, the basic amenities are provided in its full capability. The Lordship has passed several orders that has given a lot of relief, including even in the COVID times when the private hospitals were treating patients in a very arbitrary manner. Your Lordship has stepped in and provided so much of amenities to and facilities and reliefs to the common man. I, on behalf of the Indian Lawyers Congress High Court Unit Committee, wholeheartedly welcomes you, sir, to this webinar. Sir, we have a seasoned politician, a respected politician, who span more than 40 years of political life, a parliamentarian and fourth-time MLA, Sri P.T. Thomas sir, who is presently the Trikakara Constituent Assembly MLA, has joined us to give the keynote address in this webinar. As said, P.T. Thomas sir also is a well-renowned politician, and I would say I will go to the extent of saying a social reformer as well. As Thomas sir has stood his ground against the mighty without any fear, and his strong stand had always been a great relief and strength to the conquerors men in the state as well as in the country. Sir, I, on behalf of the Indian Lawyers Congress High Court Unit Committee, wholeheartedly welcomes you to this webinar, sir. And thirdly, we have a vivid personality as our speaker, Srimati Jyoti Vijay Kumar. Madam, she is a well-known media person. She has been the sub-editor of the Indian Express for quite a long time. She had been a lecturer in the Madras College for Women. She has that experience. Now, presently, she is a practicing advocate. She has fought many battles for the weaker sections of the society, particularly for the rights of women as well as the underprivileged. And she is also here with us as a speaker on this topic of justice to vulnerable people, the role and effectiveness of statutory commissions. She has been vividly participating in providing legal and media support to the victims in the state and in the country. I, on behalf of the Indian Lawyers Congress High Court Committee, wholeheartedly welcomes Srimati Jyoti Vijay Kumar to this webinar. Now, on our invitation, the senior advocates of the High Court Bar Association has joined this webinar. I, on behalf of the Indian Lawyers Congress High Court Committee, welcomes the learned senior advocates who have joined us in this webinar wholeheartedly to this webinar. The Bar Association President of Ernakulam Bar Association President has joined us. Welcome, sir. The executive committee and the office bearers of the various unit committees of the Indian Lawyers Congress on our invitation has joined this webinar. A wholehearted welcome to all of you, sirs, madams, and all my dear friends all across the state from the Indian Lawyers Congress fraternity, dear lawyer members of the High Court Bar Association and various associations who have joined us in this webinar on our invitation over the social media platforms. A wholeheartedly welcome to all of you. And with this submission, I'm completing my speech. A wholeheartedly welcome to all of you this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Vinay. Advocate C. Valsana, our guide and president of the Indian Lawyers Congress, will address us with his presidential address.
Honorable Justice Sri Devan Ramachandran, ബഹുമാനപ്പെട്ട നിയമസാമാജികൻ ശ്രീ പി.ടി. തോമസ്, ബഹുമാന്യായ ജ്യോതി വിജയകുമാർ, ബഹുമാനപ്പെട്ട എറണാകുളം ഹൈക്കോടതിയിലെ സീനിയർ അഭിഭാഷകന്മാരും അതുപോലെ തന്നെ മറ്റ് അഭിഭാഷക സുഹൃത്തുക്കളെ, വളരെ പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട ഒരു വിഷയത്തെ സംബന്ധിച്ചാണ് നാം ഇന്ന് വെബിനാർ നടത്തിക്കൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത്. കോവിഡ് മഹാമാരിയോടനുബന്ധിച്ച് ഹൈക്കോർട്ട് യൂണിറ്റ് സാധാരണ രീതിയിൽ മാസാമാസം നടത്തുന്ന സെമിനാറുകൾ, വെബിനാറുകൾ ഒക്കെ തന്നെ അല്പസ്വല്പം താമസിച്ച് നടത്തേണ്ടുന്ന സാഹചര്യങ്ങൾ ഉണ്ടായെങ്കിലും ഇന്ന് വളരെ പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട ഇന്ത്യ രാജ്യത്തെ സാമൂഹ്യ മേഖലയിൽ വളരെയേറെ മാറ്റങ്ങൾ ഉൾക്കൊണ്ടേണ്ടുന്ന ഒരു സാഹചര്യം എന്നുള്ള നിലയ്ക്ക് തന്നെ ഞാൻ പറയട്ടെ, അത്തരത്തിലുള്ള ഒരു പ്രധാനപ്പെട്ട വിഷയത്തെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിടത്തോളമാണ് നാം ഇന്ന് ഇവിടെ ഈ വെബിനാർ നടത്തുന്നത്. ഞങ്ങളുടെ ഭാഗ്യമെന്ന് തന്നെ ഞങ്ങൾ പറയട്ടെ, ബഹുമാന്യനായ ജസ്റ്റിസ് ദേവൻ രാമചന്ദ്രൻ അവർകൾ, അദ്ദേഹത്തെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിടത്തോളം നമ്മുടെ സ്വാഗത പ്രാസംഗികൻ അഡ്വക്കേറ്റ് വിനയ് പറഞ്ഞതുപോലെ വളരെ ദീർഘവീക്ഷണത്തോടു കൂടിയും അതുപോലെ തന്നെ മാനുഷിക മൂല്യങ്ങൾക്ക് മുൻഗണന കൊടുത്തുകൊണ്ട് ന്യായങ്ങൾ അംഗീകരിക്കാൻ പറ്റുന്ന രീതിയിൽ നിയമങ്ങളെ വ്യാഖ്യാനം ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ട് വളരെ പ്രശസ്തമായ രീതിയിൽ ചരിത്ര പ്രസിദ്ധമായ വിധി പ്രഖ്യാപനങ്ങൾ നടത്തിയ ഒരു ബഹുമാന്യനായ ജസ്റ്റിസ് എന്നുള്ള നിലയ്ക്ക് ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് അദ്ദേഹത്തെ ഇന്ന് ഈ പരിപാടിയിൽ കിട്ടിയതിൽ ഞങ്ങൾ അതീവ സന്തുഷ്ടരാണ്. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ നമുക്കറിയാം, മികച്ച പാർലമെന്റേറിയൻ എന്ന് പേരെടുത്ത, വളരെ കാലം നിയമസാമാജികൻ എന്നുള്ള നിലയ്ക്ക് കേരളത്തിൽ പ്രശംസനീയമായ വിധം അനീതികൾക്കെതിരെ ശബ്ദം രേഖപ്പെടുത്തുകയും ശക്തമായി പൊരുതുകയും ചെയ്യുന്ന നമ്മുടെ ബഹുമാന്യനായ നിയമസാമാജികൻ പി.ടി. തോമസ് എം.എൽ.എ. അവർ, അദ്ദേഹത്തെയും ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് ഈ പരിപാടിയിൽ കീനോട്ട് അഡ്രസ് നടത്താൻ പറ്റുന്ന രീതിയിലുള്ള ഒരു സംഭവ വികാസമായി മാറിയത് ഞങ്ങൾക്ക് വളരെയേറെ കൃതാർത്ഥതയുണ്ട്. അതുപോലെ തന്നെ പറയട്ടെ, ഈ പരിപാടിയെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിടത്തോളം പങ്കെടുക്കുന്ന മാധ്യമരംഗത്തും അതുപോലെ തന്നെ അഭിഭാഷക രംഗത്തും ശക്തമായ രീതിയിൽ പ്രതിനിധാനം ചെയ്തുകൊണ്ട് ശക്തമായ രീതിയിലുള്ള നടപടികൾ സ്വീകരിക്കുന്ന വ്യക്തി എന്നുള്ള നിലയ്ക്ക് തന്നെ പറയട്ടെ, ജ്യോതി വിജയകുമാർ നമുക്ക് കിട്ടിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഇവരൊക്കെ ഇന്ന് ഈ പരിപാടിയിൽ വളരെ പ്രസക്തമായ രീതിയിലുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങൾ അവതരിപ്പിക്കാനിരിക്കുകയാണ്. അവരുടെ പ്രസംഗത്തിന് അതുപോലെ തന്നെ അവർ പറയാൻ നിൽക്കുന്ന കാര്യങ്ങളെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിടത്തോളം നമ്മൾ ആകാംക്ഷപൂർവ്വം നോക്കി നിൽക്കുകയാണ്. വളരെ സമയക്കുറവുള്ളത് കൊണ്ട് വിശദമായ കാര്യങ്ങളൊന്നും തന്നെ സംസാരിക്കാൻ ഞാൻ ഉദ്ദേശിക്കുന്നില്ല. ചരിത്രപരമായ കാരണങ്ങളാൽ പാർശ്വവൽക്കരിക്കപ്പെട്ട ജനവിഭാഗം, അതുപോലെ തന്നെ സാമ്പത്തിക ശേഷിയില്ലാത്ത ജനവിഭാഗം, വീടില്ലാത്തവർ, പട്ടിണിയായി കിടക്കുന്നവർ, അത്തരത്തിലുള്ള ആൾക്കാരെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിടത്തോളം ഇന്ത്യ രാജ്യത്ത് സ്വാതന്ത്ര്യത്തിന് ശേഷം എത്രത്തോളം നമുക്ക് പുരോഗമിക്കാൻ സാധിച്ചു എന്നുള്ളത് നമുക്കൊക്കെ അറിയാം. അത്തരത്തിലുള്ളവർക്ക് ബഹുമാനപ്പെട്ട കോടതികളെ പോലും സമീപിക്കാൻ സാധിക്കാത്ത പരിതസ്ഥിതികൾ ഇന്ന് നിലവിലുണ്ട് എന്നുള്ളത് നമുക്ക് കാണാൻ സാധിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. അത്തരത്തിലുള്ള ഒരു പരിതസ്ഥിതിയിൽ ഈ വെബിനാർ പാർശ്വവൽക്കരിക്കപ്പെട്ട അതുപോലെ തന്നെ മറ്റു രീതിയിൽ അവശത അനുഭവിപ്പിക്കുന്ന ജനവിഭാഗങ്ങളെ സംബന്ധിച്ചിടത്തോളം ഇന്ന് നമുക്ക് എന്ത് ചെയ്യാൻ സാധിക്കും എന്നുള്ളതിനെ സംബന്ധിച്ചുള്ള മാർഗരേഖ തയ്യാറെടുക്കാനും അതുപോലെ തന്നെ അത് ബന്ധപ്പെട്ട ആൾക്കാരുടെ മുമ്പിൽ എത്തിക്കാനും സാധിക്കുന്ന പരിസ്ഥിതി ഈ വെബിനാറിന് ഉണ്ടാകട്ടെ എന്ന് മാത്രം ആശംസിച്ചുകൊണ്ട് ഞാൻ എൻ്റെ ആശംസകൾ നേർന്നുകൊണ്ട് എൻ്റെ പ്രസംഗം അവസാനിപ്പിക്കുകയാണ്. ജയ് ഹിന്ദ്.
Thank you, sir. Advocate P.T. Thomas, Honorable MLA, he is a member of Kerala Legislative Assembly representing Trikakara constituency. He was also a former member of Parliament who represents Idukki Parliament constituency. One could easily visualize what Mr. P.T. Thomas would have done for us. He has always stood with his strong values and always protected the interest of the society with commitment and motivation, empowering the vulnerable in the society to stand up to their rights. That makes him unique and a human more than a politician. Now let us welcome Honorable Mr. P.T. Thomas, MLA, for his keynote address. Welcome, sir.
ILC കേരള ഹൈക്കോടതി യൂണിറ്റിന്റെ ഈ വെബിനാർ സംഘടിപ്പിച്ച പ്രിയപ്പെട്ടവരായ അഭിഭാഷക സുഹൃത്തുക്കൾ, അഡ്വക്കേറ്റ് ജാസ്മിൻ, വത്സം വക്കീൽ, ശ്രീ വിനോദ്, മറ്റ് പ്രഗത്ഭമതികളായ വ്യക്തിത്വങ്ങൾ, ഈ വെബിനാറിൽ ഉദ്ഘാടനം ചെയ്യുന്ന ജസ്റ്റിസ് ദേവൻ രാമേന്ദ്രൻ അവറുകൾ അടക്കമുള്ള പ്രിയപ്പെട്ടവരെ സുഹൃത്തുക്കളെ, കേരളത്തിലെ മനുഷ്യാവകാശ കമ്മീഷന്റെയും വനിതാ കമ്മീഷന്റെയും ബാലാവകാശ കമ്മീഷനും യുവജന കമ്മീഷൻ അടക്കമുള്ള കമ്മീഷനുകളുടെ പ്രവർത്തനം ഈ നാട്ടിലെ നീതി തേടുന്ന ആളുകൾക്ക് എത്രമാത്രം പ്രയോജനപ്പെടുന്നു എന്നതിനെ സംബന്ധിച്ചുള്ള ഗൗരവതരമായ ഒരു ചർച്ചയ്ക്ക് തുടക്കം കുറിച്ച് നിങ്ങളെ ഞാൻ പ്രത്യേകം അഭിവാദ്യം ചെയ്യുകയാണ്. കാരണം നമുക്കറിയാം, വാളയാർ മുതൽ വണ്ടിപ്പെരിയാർ വരെയുള്ള സ്ത്രീ പീഡനങ്ങളും കുട്ടികളെ ശിശുക്കളോടുള്ള പീഡനങ്ങളും ഒക്കെ വിലയിരുത്തുമ്പോൾ നിയതമായ നിയമത്തിന്റെ മുമ്പിൽ പ്രതി ചേർക്കപ്പെടേണ്ടവർ രക്ഷപ്പെടുകയും നിരപരാധികൾ പ്രതികളായി മാറുകയും ചെയ്യുന്ന പല സംഭവങ്ങളുമാണ് റിപ്പോർട്ട് ചെയ്യുന്നത്. 2 കുട്ടികൾ നഷ്ടപ്പെട്ട വാളയാറിലെ അമ്മ നീതിക്ക് വേണ്ടി തെരുവിലിറങ്ങേണ്ടി വന്ന ഒരു ദുഃഖകരമായ സാഹചര്യം നമുക്ക് വിസ്മരിക്കാൻ കഴിയില്ല. കഴിഞ്ഞ ദിവസം 6 വയസ്സുള്ള ഒരു കുട്ടി മരിച്ച വണ്ടിപ്പെരിയാറിൽ ഞങ്ങൾ പോയിരുന്നു. അവിടുത്തെ സ്ഥിതിയും വ്യത്യസ്തമല്ല. ഇവിടെ വനിതാ കമ്മീഷന്റെ അധ്യക്ഷയായിരുന്ന വളരെ ബഹുമാന്യയായ ഒരു വ്യക്തി അവർ ചൂണ്ടിക്കാണിച്ച ഒരു കാര്യം, ഞങ്ങൾ ഇത്തരം കാര്യങ്ങൾ വരുമ്പോൾ പാർട്ടി കോടതിയായും പോലീസായും ഒക്കെ ആക്ട് ചെയ്യുമെന്ന് പോലും വളരെ ആക്ഷേപകരമായി പ്രസ്താവന ഇറക്കുന്ന ഒരു വനിതാ കമ്മീഷന്റെ ചെയർപേഴ്സണെ നമുക്ക് കാണാൻ കഴിയും. ഇവിടെ ബാലാവകാശ കമ്മീഷൻ പ്രവർത്തിക്കുന്നുണ്ട്. എത്രയോ കുഞ്ഞുങ്ങളാണ് ഓരോ ദിവസവും പീഡനം അനുഭവിക്കുന്നത്. ആ പീഡനമൊന്നും ബാലാവകാശ കമ്മീഷന്റെ പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങൾ ശ്രദ്ധിക്കാത്തതുകൊണ്ടാണെന്നല്ല ഞാൻ പറയുന്നത്. അങ്ങനെ ഒരു സംഭവം ഉണ്ടായാൽ അതിൽ കൃത്യതയോടെ കക്ഷി രാഷ്ട്രീയം നോക്കാതെ, വ്യക്തിയെ നോക്കാതെ, സമൂഹത്തെ നോക്കാതെ ഇടപെടാനുള്ള ഒരു വലിയ മനസ്സ് ഇത്തരം കമ്മീഷൻ കാണിക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ? ഈ കമ്മീഷൻ 100% നിഷ്പക്ഷമായി പ്രവർത്തിക്കുന്നുണ്ടോ? ഇതൊക്കെ ഒരു പ്രസക്തമായ ചോദ്യമാണ്. ഇപ്പോൾ കേരളത്തിന്റെ ഗവർണർ ബഹുമാനായ ആരിഫ് മുഹമ്മദ് ഖാൻ സ്ത്രീധന സമ്പ്രദായത്തിനെതിരെ ഇവിടെ ഒരു സത്യാഗ്രഹം അനുഷ്ഠിക്കുകയുണ്ടായി. അത് കേരളത്തിന്റെ കണ്ടു തുറക്കേണ്ട ഒരു സംഭവമാണ്. അപ്പൊ അങ്ങനെയുള്ള കാര്യങ്ങളിൽ യുവജന കമ്മീഷന് എത്രമാത്രം മുന്നോട്ട് പോകാൻ കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ട്? എല്ലാം ആലങ്കാരികമായി പറയുക, ആളുകളെ ഒരു തരത്തിൽ വശീകരിക്കാൻ ശ്രമിക്കുക എന്നതിനപ്പുറം ഒരു മസ്മറൈസ് ചെയ്യുന്ന ഒരു നടപടിക്കപ്പുറം അല്ലെങ്കിൽ തൊലിപ്പുറമെയുള്ള ചികിത്സയ്ക്കപ്പുറം യാഥാർത്ഥ്യങ്ങൾ കണ്ടുപിടിക്കാനോ ഏതെങ്കിലും ഒരു കുറ്റവാളികളായ ആളുകളെ നിയമത്തിന്റെ മുമ്പിൽ കൊണ്ടുവരാനോ ഒന്നും ഇത്തരം പ്രസ്ഥാനങ്ങൾക്ക് കഴിയുന്നില്ല എന്നുള്ളത് ബാലാവകാശ കമ്മീഷനായാലും യുവജന കമ്മീഷനായാലും വനിതാ കമ്മീഷനായാലും മറ്റ് കമ്മീഷനുകളായാലും രൂപീകരിക്കപ്പെട്ട അതിന്റെ അന്തസ്സത്ത ചോർന്നു പോകുന്ന പ്രവർത്തനങ്ങളാണ് ഇതപര്യന്തം ഉണ്ടായിട്ടുള്ളത് എന്ന് ചൂണ്ടിക്കാണിക്കാൻ ഖേദമുണ്ട്. തീർച്ചയായും നിങ്ങൾ ആരംഭിച്ചിരിക്കുന്ന ഈ വെബിനാർ വളരെ ശ്രദ്ധേയമാണ്. എല്ലാ മേഖലകളിലും ഇത്തരമുള്ള ശ്രദ്ധ ആവശ്യമുള്ള ഒരു കാലഘട്ടമാണ്. നമുക്കറിയാം, കോവിഡ് മഹാമാരിയുടെ കാലഘട്ടത്തിൽ ഒരു മീറ്റിംഗ് വിളിച്ചു കൂട്ടി ഇത്തരം കാര്യങ്ങൾ പറയാനോ സംസാരിക്കാനോ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇത്തരം കാര്യങ്ങൾക്ക് നേതൃത്വം നൽകാനോ ഒന്നും കഴിയില്ലെങ്കിൽ പോലും ഹൈക്കോടതിയുടെ ILC യൂണിറ്റ് വളരെ ശ്രദ്ധേയമായ ഒരു ചർച്ചയുമായി മുന്നോട്ട് വന്നിരിക്കുന്നു. ഞാൻ കൂടുതൽ സമയം എടുക്കുന്നില്ല. ഇന്ന് ബഹുമാനപ്പെട്ട മുഖ്യമന്ത്രി ഉദ്ഘാടനം ചെയ്യുന്ന ഹോസ്പിറ്റലിന്റെ ഒരു ചടങ്ങിൽ ഞാൻ എടപ്പള്ളിയിൽ എനിക്ക് പങ്കെടുക്കേണ്ടതുണ്ട്. അതുകൊണ്ട് ഞാൻ ഇതിൽ ഒന്ന് ചടങ്ങിന് വേണ്ടി മാത്രം പങ്കെടുക്കുന്ന മാത്രമേ ഉള്ളൂ. ഞങ്ങളുടെ ഈ നല്ല സംരംഭത്തിന് എല്ലാ വിജയങ്ങളും നേരുന്നു. ദേവൻ രാമേന്ദ്രനെ പോലുള്ള ജഡ്ജിമാർ ഈ രംഗത്ത് വളരെ നിർണായകമായ പല വിധിന്യായങ്ങളും അതുപോലെ തന്നെ നീതിക്ക് വേണ്ടി പോരാടുന്ന ആളുകളെ പിന്തുണയ്ക്കുന്ന ഒരു ജനകീയമായ സാമൂഹ്യ പ്രതിബദ്ധതയുള്ള പല തീരുമാനങ്ങൾ എടുത്തിട്ടുണ്ട് എന്ന സന്തോഷകരമായ കാര്യവും ഞാൻ ഈ അവസരം അനുസ്മരിക്കുകയാണ്. ഈ ചടങ്ങിന് നേതൃത്വം നൽകി എല്ലാവരെയും ഒക്കെ അഭിനന്ദിക്കുന്നു. എല്ലാവർക്കും നമസ്കാരം.
Thank you, sir, for the wonderful remarks for this program. Justice must not only be done, but must also seem to be done. The clarity and transparency of judgments that are expected from these words of Lord Chief Justice Lord Howard are apt to define the judicial dispensation rendered by Honorable Justice Devan Ramachandran. His Lordship graduates from Government Law College, Ernakulam. He started his practice as an advocate in 1991 under the able guidance of his father, late Senior Barrister Mr. M.P.R. Nair. His Lordship was designated as a senior advocate by the High Court of Kerala in 2015. Justice Devan Ramachandran and his father are credited the first and until now the only father and son duo till date to be designated as senior lawyers of Kerala High Court. The Indian Express recognized Justice Devan Ramachandran as newsmaker in 2019. We did not have to think twice on deciding as to who was to present this topic in this webinar, since we could not have asked for a more empathetic human being who always felt the pulse of the society to address us. We are privileged to have His Lordship Justice Devan Ramachandran to present today's topic at this webinar. Now, let us welcome Honorable Mr. Justice Devan Ramachandran for presentation of this topic.
Good afternoon, and thank you for having me. It's nice to see many familiar faces, which I see almost on every other day on a Saturday. I can see that there are a large representation of senior advocates and members of the bar. I feel very inequipped to speak in their presence, but I'm certain that they are all far more accomplished than I am. But then fortunately, I have not been asked to speak on the topic. I've been only asked to present the topic. That makes my task much more easier. The speaker of the topic, Mrs. Vijay Kumar, I'm sure will deal with it in great detail. And with the limitations of my office that I'm now holding, I cannot even reflect upon the part of the topic which says efficacy or effectiveness of the statutory corporations. I cannot speak on that. But I'll just try to broadly envision what was the intention of the founding fathers in the Constitution also, when these statutory corporations and constitutional authorities were brought into life. Now, when we talk about vulnerable sections, there cannot be a greater importance to that particular concept than today, when the whole world is facing such an unsure kind of a future. None of us know what will happen to us tomorrow. We do not know whether we'll be impacted by the pandemic. And we are all, to look at it in one perspective, very fortunate that we have sufficient support, both monetarily and otherwise. But think about those people where they make a hand-to-mouth existence even otherwise. Just think about the situation they are in today. Not many of us can really think about it or place ourselves in that position. And if you do that, you will understand that many of the judgments that our court is now issuing, or any other high court or Supreme Court is now issuing, is actually sitting from their position, standing into their shoes if they can afford one, or their slippers as the case may be, and then speaking on their behalf. Now, the concept of a vulnerable section of citizens, all vulnerable sections of citizens. Now, that's extremely amorphous. Because generally, when we talk about these sections, there is a straitjacket formula that we follow. We believe that certain kinds of people are vulnerable. Please understand that the Constitution does not really enumerate the vulnerable sections, though there are references. Not even the word other backward classes are properly defined in the Constitution. It is left to the states and the governments of the union territories and the center to take a call on who would fall into that category of OBCs. But as a general precept, we accept that women, children, OBCs, as I said, that they are not defined per se, but they are now enumerated by the various statutes. The scheduled castes and scheduled tribes, which are part of the Constitution. Minorities, differently abled, senior citizens, victims of substance abuse, people who are not healthy, with all kinds of diseases, unable to fend for themselves. The illiterate section, as we have always found them to be worthy of our special care. More importantly, these days, unorganized workers, the migrants who travel from one state to the other, traverse several thousands of kilometers and miles for their sustenance. People who travel from Assam and Bihar and West Bengal to Kerala and back. People living with HIV, AIDS, and such other diseases. Sexual minorities, the LG, as we call it, the LGBT, the lesbians, gay, etc., transgenders, and generally the poor as a whole. This is basically what the Constitution and our constitutional imperatives generally tell us as to who the vulnerable sections are. Now, it is always said that when we act as judges or as lawyers, we don't really act as per our conscience alone. We are expected to act as per the conscience of the Constitution. The Constitution has a conscience. And I don't have to tell you this. Constitution is the highest law of our country. It is a suprema lex. As it is normally defined, it is a Grundnorm, the German Hans Kelsen's famous word for the Constitution. Therefore, when we look at the Constitution, we must first look at its preamble, which in my view is its distilled heart. It really tells you what the Constitution is. The Constitution runs into several pages. But look at the preamble. The preamble is only a few words, less than a page, but it beautifully crystallizes what our Constitution is. So anything that we do in this country, either as judges or as lawyers or any other capacity, as statutory bodies, it is the spirit of the Constitution, it is the essence of the Constitution, it is the heart of the Constitution that should be guiding us. And this is exactly what the statutory corporations and others are also to be followed. So please look at the Constitution. It says, we the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute ourselves into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure to all its citizens justice. This is very, very important. We are all lawyers. We have all learned the Constitution throughout our life. But somehow I feel that we have somewhere along the line, we have all lost the spirit of the Constitution, and it requires us to restate it. So what does the Constitution intend to achieve? To secure to all its citizens justice. What justice? Social, economic, and political. Liberty of thought, expression, belief, faith, and worship. Equality of status and of opportunity, and to promote among all of us fraternity of status, of assuring the dignity of the individual. and the unity of the nation, of course. So please look at the Constitution. The Constitution tells you how important it is to take care of each other, how important it is to get an egalitarian society where everything is shared equally by all the sections. But this doesn't always happen. Even when we say that we require social, economic, and political justice,
WhatsApp audio.
or we say that there should be liberty of common liberty of thought, expression, belief, or of equality of status and opportunity, we do not see that in the ground level. We do not see that in real life. Of course, real life is not always a perfect one. So here is where we have all the systems that we have brought in to ensure that, to the extent possible, as is constitutionally mandated, to the extent possible, we are able to take care of the marginalized and the vulnerable sections of the society. Every society, not only in India, every society in the world, every country in the world have marginalized and vulnerable sections. The numbers may vary, the extent may vary, and the impacts may vary. But every nation in the country, every society in the world will certainly have marginalized sections. Now, it is also always said that our constitution is a bag of borrowings. I do not know how many of you have heard this. It's called a bag of borrowings. We have borrowed heavily from various other constitutions of the world. If I'm not mistaken, we have borrowed from 14 other constitutions. In fact, it is not a bad thing because we have taken the best of every constitution in the world and we have then assimilated it into our ethos, into the Indian ethos. And therefore, when we talk about the constitution, you're all aware, we start always with Article 14, right to equality. That's what we call it. But Article 14 generally defines equality not in a direct sense. It says that the state shall not deny equal protection of law to all citizens. But the real equality principles are enshrined in Articles 15 and 16, where you have no discrimination on basis of caste, creed, place of birth, etc. Article 16 gives you equal opportunities in all spheres, including governmental jobs and such other. But there, you are all aware, Article 15.4, Article 16.4, 4A, 4B, all of them give special protection to certain sections. This is where the Constitution recognizes that certain sections of the society whom we now call vulnerable or marginalized would require special protection. Then all these commissions and all those bodies are now created with this in mind, to bring them to the forefront, to bring them to the main line of living and not keep them marginalized forever. Now, please see Article 17. Article 17 is a prohibition of untouchability. Imagine when the Constitution was framed in the late 40s. Untouchability was something that was very common and very prevalent. It was something that was very, very, very acceptable in society at that point of time. We abolished it through a constitutional mandate. But the impact of untouchability still continues. Some of the judgments that we now write, we peripherally deal with untouchability in many forms. It may not be untouchability as we know it in the late 1940s, but it has changed in its hues and cries. We have Article 19, which gives you all the fundamental rights. Every society, every nation, every citizen of this nation has equal rights. This is the utopian systems that we always venture to think about. To what extent that is now implemented is where all these efforts that we are now talking about and which we are now assessing today will have to take a call on. Article 23, very important, prohibition of human labor, bonded labor. Look at the kind of people who are now living in all these conditions even today. After 70 odd years of our constitution, we are still having people who live in bonded labor. Trafficking still continues, even in a full literate state like Kerala. We've had instances of trafficking happening. Article 24, we have stopped the child labor in factories. Article 25, we have the right to freedom to profess any religion, faith. Article 38, the state must, it is of course under the directive principles, but the state must endeavor social justice. Article 39, equal justice. Article 46, protection of education. Article 41, very important. Many of us have not even looked at Article 41. It protects a certain demographic of people after a particular age. For example, the elders, the senior citizens, right to work, they're all protected. We have Article 335 is the SC/STs for services. The political safeguards, Article 330, Article 332, reservations are provided. Article 243D, Article 243T, Article 340, which provides for commissions. So we have now, the Constitution has now given us everything possible. It is how we work it which is now important. This is where today's topic has some great relevance, because we know that there are several institutions that have been placed by the constitutional provisions and by the statutory provisions. Now we have several statutes that have been brought in. The Protection of Civil Rights Act, it provides for the protection of scheduled castes. The Scheduled Caste and Scheduled Tribes Atrocities Act, the National Commission for Backward Classes Act, the Persons with Disabilities Equal Opportunities Act, National Trust for Welfare of Persons with Autism, Cerebral Palsy, mental retardation, etc. I think that is of the year 1999, if I'm not mistaken. The Rehabilitation Council of India Act, Maintenance and Welfare of Parents and Senior Citizens Act. So there are so many statutes that have been brought in. This is all intended to protect certain or the other kind of marginalized or vulnerable sections. Senior citizens are vulnerable in various scenarios that you see in life. Not all senior citizens may be vulnerable, but many of them are. We require to protect them. So it is in this background, it is in this perspective that our nation thought of so many other bodies and constituted entities, which are all under either the Constitution or under the various statutes. Now you know the Rehabilitation Council of India, the Chief Commissioner for Persons with Disabilities, the National Trust for the Welfare of Persons with Autism, Cerebral Palsy, etc. The National Commission for Women, we are all aware, the State Commissions for Women, the National Commission for Child Rights, National Consumer Disputes Forum, and the National Human Rights Commission, etc. Now, these are all bodies that are there to make sure that the constitutional imperatives are placed in and protected to the extent that it's possible. You are also aware of the National Commission for the Scheduled Castes, the National Commission for Backward Classes, Safai Karmacharis, we have a National Commission for that. We have a National Commission for the Scheduled Castes. And you are also perhaps aware that there are several other governmental and non-governmental entities which are intended for the protection of all these sections. Now, the background in which these entities were brought into life. But look at it from the other angle. What is their role? Many people have asked me. They said we have a very proactive judiciary. There is no doubt. I do not think, in my experience and to the little I've seen, that there is any judicial system in the world which is more proactive than the Indian system. We are a country where you can approach the High Courts or the Supreme Court under Article 226 or under Article 32 of the Constitution and seek relief. There are complaints of delays, which is endemic, which is common to every legal system in the world. Perhaps India, we are slightly worse. That's possibly because our numbers are high. Our population, we are the most populous country in the world, 140 crore people. So 1.4 billion. And if a small portion of them litigate, the numbers will be mind-boggling, as we are seeing today. The docket explosion is not a bad thing. It really shows the trust of the people in our system. So many people have asked me, this is one topic that I had touched upon, I think, year before last when I addressed a group of students in some college. So they asked me, what is the point of all these commissions when our judicial system is so robust? The first answer is very simple. See, to access a judicial system, the right to access judicial system is now a fundamental right. After the Supreme Court judgment in Anita Kushwaha versus Push-Up Southern. So after that, right to access to justice is now a fundamental right. But is it really possible for 140 crore of our citizens to really reach out to the courts whenever they want to? We have principles of locus. We have principles of maintainability. We are bound by certain formalities of law. So there are several sections of people, several sections, and believe me, they are the vast majority of this country who will not be able to afford to come to the court. They cannot reach the courts. Even if they want to, they cannot. This is why the concept of public interest litigation really came up. In the 70s, the Supreme Court found that the vast majority of our citizens, by far perhaps the brute majority, are unable to even think about justice, unable to even think about courts. This is where the concept of public investigation came in. And we are all aware how beautifully and how well it has been accepted and it has been put into use. But there are still people who cannot do it. There are still people who cannot make it. With all the support that they can possibly garner, they cannot make it to the courts. This is where the commissions come into force. The constitutional commissions and the statutory commissions. They are not bound by the rigor of locus. They are not bound by the rigor of maintainability, evidence, or any of the other procedural laws. They are there to go to the people and reach them at the areas where they can never dream about. So this is the real role of a commission. The commissions also have a role in advising the governments as to the policy decisions to be taken, which a court cannot, you're all aware. It has been already declared that the courts cannot enter where the door of policy begins. We always say that we are sorry, we cannot help you. When a case comes to us, this is the fundamental thing that we always say. It's a matter of policy relevant. We cannot give you any relief because you have to go back to the government and get it done. This is where the commissions are very important. The commissions are not bound by these rigors. They can advise the government on the policy decisions to be taken, what kind of support is required to each section of the society, depending upon their vulnerability. The vulnerability and marginalization of society can be a very, it is not static, it can be very dynamic. Those people who are not vulnerable today can become vulnerable tomorrow. Those people who are marginalized today can perhaps come out of such marginalization. So these bodies are expected to be to know the pulse of these people, to know the pulse of these sections and demographic of citizens. They are expected to go down to them, find out what exactly is the ill that they are enduring as part of the society, as part of our citizenry. This is the real role of a commission. Now, whether the commissions are doing it, the commissions have been successful in embarking upon what they have endeavored. These are all issues that I will leave it to the next speaker. I do not want to touch upon that at all. But the role is extremely laudatory. The courts cannot reach everywhere. The citizens cannot reach every court. For example, when it comes to the scheduled tribes, the National Commission for Scheduled Tribes have been given the statutory right to decide whether they are entitled to the forest produce, whether they have rights over the forest land. These are not things that a court can really think about. How much ever we may try, we cannot formulate a policy. So these commissions, it is not merely what you see in paper. Unfortunately, what I now see is that most of these commissions are seen in the papers with respect to individual cases. And many of them are assessed based on their reaction to that. There have been several controversies, and I have a feeling that over the years, the sanctity and the importance of these commissions have been dwindled because it was not handled the manner in which it was expected to be handled. Most of these commissions have forgotten the basic preambular and the constitutional imperatives and mandate. If they have acted as per the mandate that were given to them by our forefathers who formulated the Constitution, these bodies have a great role to play. They are indispensable in my view. They are not something that can be expended. They are indispensable, especially in a country like India with 140 crore people. We are the size of 3 Americas. Please understand how difficult it is to govern this country judicially and politically. It is very easy to say that Americans have all got their vaccines, Indians have not. That's because India is 3 times America. And again, because of the same problems that we face, all these marginalization, all these vulnerability, the vaccines are not reaching the people in the manner that we want it to reach. We are making strides. We will certainly be able to reach where we want to reach. But these commissions have a great role to play in formulating the policy, particularly in the time of this pandemic, when the vulnerability of vulnerable sections have increased manifold. Just imagine the plight of the migrants. Have we ever thought of migrants the manner in which we thought last year? When our hearts broke when we saw these people walking kilometers, hundreds and thousands of kilometers to their homelands. We have never thought of them from that angle. Now we are more concerned and we are more aware. It's the same thing with every vulnerable society. Everything. Children, they are always vulnerable. We see a lot of instances of human trafficking, child labor, and all that's still happening. These commissions have a great role to play. They must go down. They must go in investigate, find out and allay. This is the real role of the commissions. Every commission, if you see, their mandate is the same. Their endeavor is expected to be to wipe the last tear from the eye of the last citizen. These are not the last citizens. They are our most prioritized citizens. The least, the lost, and the little, but they are the most important. And therefore, I cannot visualize a situation where all these commissions are taken away to be substituted by judicial systems or by other systems. These commissions are absolutely unexpendable. We require these commissions. Now, the question is whether these commissions are doing what they wanted to do. Certainly, a seminar like this can possibly get this message through. I hope that this seminar does not become a mere formality. I'm sure that the deliberations in this seminar should reach the ears and the hearts of those people who matter, the policy makers. They should be told how well or how bad these commissions are functioning, and don't get swayed by what you see in the papers. Don't get influenced by the controversies that you now see. These are all peripheral. What is really important is the manner in which these institutions are expected to function and whether they are functioned in the manner that we envisage them to do. I hope this seminar will touch upon that, and I am certain that the speaker after me will certainly deliberate and delve on it, and it will be a good thing if this is considered well, deliberated well, and taken to the policymakers. I hope you will do that. And with these words, I wish all of you a great day ahead and a very fruitful discussion in this seminar. Thank you very, very much for the opportunity.
Thank you, sir, for the wonderful
Thank you, sir.
with us about the constitutional mandates and the role and relevance of the various commissions in the present scenario. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Now I welcome Advocate Jyoti Vijaykumar, a practicing lawyer, an orator, TV anchor, former techie, film journalist, and a social activist, and one of the translators of prominent leaders like Sonia Gandhi, Rahul Gandhi, Priyanka Gandhi. Now let us welcome Advocate Jyoti Vijaykumar to address the gathering.
Thank you, ma'am. Honorable Justice Dev Ramachandran sir, Sri P.T. Thomas MLA, Advocate Jasmine, Advocate George Pachel, Advocate Vinay. It is an immense privilege and honor for me to listen to Honorable Justice Dev Ramachandran sir. Thank you for the passion and commitment. Those were words from your heart, and I'm really, really thankful, and it is a privilege for me to listen to it. And I'm apologizing to you because I've been asked to talk about the social aspect of it, not in detail about the technicalities and academic aspects of this subject. And I'm not a person with immense experience in law. I'm just a law student with a little bit of practice, and my experience spans across different fields as a woman and as a person who was part of print and visual media, then corporate sector, now journalism, a little bit of politics, civil service trainer. Like I would like to talk about things which are happening in our society and also representing a vulnerable section. So you have in detail talked about who are the vulnerable sections. Actually, when we talk about, I feel like you said, it shouldn't end up as a formality. Exactly. It should be within our hearts. I feel the first change should happen within our thinking, in our personal lives, and within our homes. Because unless our homes, our families are democratized, unless our families are able to think beyond caste, beyond religion, beyond patriarchy, beyond the othering of every other human being who is different from us, I don't think we'll not be able to bring a change. Because when legal systems are there, when new laws are coming, we are institutionalizing that, but we are not internalizing that. When internalization is not happening, laws are not working. Because we are recently we are discussing so much about dowry deaths. We are discussing so much about the human rights of women. But at the same time, we are not questioning the patriarchy we are being part of. We are just talking about it. So basically, when I'm able to, I thank you for the opportunity to talk about it. And first thing, what is very important is for us to bring that change within ourselves and within our society. So first, sir has in detail elaborated upon who are the vulnerable sections: women, children. For example, recently we are talking about transgenders. There is an issue which has happened recently. Migrants, people who are poor, those who are in the unorganized sector, differently able, children with special abilities, different abilities. We have to seriously think about all of them. And COVID time has exposed our vulnerabilities more than ever before. And according to a survey that I read yesterday, the rich, super rich are becoming richer every day. Even during the COVID pandemic, when people are committing suicide because they have lost their livelihood, they're not able to manage the health impact, the emotional impact, and the impact on their livelihood which the situation has created. So the divide is huge. Poor are becoming more vulnerable day by day in the present situation we are living. Think about women. This situation, women are becoming more vulnerable. As lawyers, as practicing lawyers, you are all aware of the incidents of domestic violence, how it is increasing, the spurt in violence. When family becomes you are spending more time in the family, when gender roles become so reaffirmed, they become so crystallized, the nature of violence that is happening within families, we are well aware. So vulnerability of women has increased much more during the COVID time. Vulnerability of children, child sexual abuse that we are facing. Children, many students across the country, they've lost their primary caregivers. Many children have lost their schooling. Many used to get nutritional food when they came to schools. They're not getting food. They're dropping out. Because children are dropping out from schools, the now instances of child marriage is increasing. Child abuse is increasing. Child labor is increasing. They are becoming the most vulnerable. Vulnerability is increasing like anything. We know about senior citizens. They are tied to their homes, their health situations, their health crisis, health risk, their vulnerability is increasing. And we know about transgenders. They don't have jobs and they don't get acceptance and visibility as they are supposed to have. Their vulnerability is increasing. So this is the most important time, most appropriate time for us to speak about vulnerable sections in society. But speaking about, and as also members of legal fraternity, I think all of us have an extra commitment towards these sections and the Constitution. I think what we should internalize is the Constitution. The first thing I would like to present before you is the thought that we cannot have social justice through legal system. We cannot afford justice to the people of vulnerable sections of society if there is no social justice. We talk about social justice, economic justice, and political justice. Where is justice if we cannot afford social justice? Think about our society. Think about each one of us. We are living in a society, according to a recent survey, a recent finding by a US-based agency, most of Indians want tolerance, want diversity, but at the same time, we are a very segmentary and exclusionary society. We celebrate the otherness of others, but the interaction is getting limited, narrowed. We can say there is unity in diversity, we are very tolerant, but our tolerance is becoming very superficial. In this situation, how do vulnerable sections like minorities get justice? We need to seriously think about it. Our legal system and our commissions, National Human Rights Commissions, Minority Commissions, Backward Classes Commission, Child Rights Commission, Women's Commissions, Youth Commission, all these commissions reflect the mentality of the society, the attitudes that are prevalent in society. Law has just institutionalized it, but Constitution is also not internalized. So the first thing we need to ask ourselves, where is their social justice? We are very casteist. Casteism is very much prevalent in our society. When we marry, we choose to marry within our caste only. Caste endogamy is so prevalent. And when we marry, it is based on class. When we marry, it is based on our religion. And our children don't interact with people beyond these segments, beyond these narrow categorizations that we have created for ourselves of caste, class, religion. And when we think of women, because recently as a Kerala society, we have been talking so much about women, but most of the time it becomes just a lip service. How many women can claim? I don't know how many participants are there, women participants are there. Even in legal field, we only choose judges in the Supreme Court. In politics, how many women are there? What is representation? When we are talking about vulnerable sections, the representation is also very, very important. Journalism, women are there at the middle level, but at the top, how many women are there? How many Dalits are there in our newsrooms as decision-making people? How many women are there in politics as in powerful positions? How many Dalits are there? How many women are there in our judiciary as judges in the top ranks? We need to think about how many transgenders are there, how much we have recognized LGBTQIA. Without this change, I feel, within my limited understanding, I'm sorry if my understanding is limited, with my limited experience and understanding, what I can understand is that without social justice, without social equality, it is very, very difficult that we can act as instruments who can get justice for the vulnerable sections of society. Still, we believe, it is a tragedy and it's a contradiction and irony that as we progress technologically, technology is getting combined with the most regressive social attitudes in our society, especially in Kerala. We are not progressing in a way that is supposed to be. We are progressing outside. Publicly, we are progressing. Our modernity is very superficial. We talk about religious harmony, secularism outside on public platforms. But when it comes to private spaces, we tend to see people belonging to other religions as others. We ridicule LGBTQ community. Outside, we speak about them. We think that people belonging to upper caste think that we are still superior. Those people are still superior. And there is nothing wrong with practices like untouchability. And untouchability is prevalent in many other ways also. And we distinguish people on the basis of their color, their physical appearances. And as we are practicing all these things, I don't know how much we can talk about social giving justice. And also the second thing, Amartya Sen talks about justice as niti and nyay. Niti is an abstract concept. Nyay happens when there is a realization of that abstract concept. How does the realization happen? Our public spaces do not accommodate vulnerable sections as they are supposed to be. There is no treatment of there is no attitude of equality. We don't treat people as equals. We take a patronizing position. We take a superior position. And so the basic crucial point I would like to discuss, I would like to talk about, and which I have internalized to an extent, is the fact that if we don't practice social justice, if we are not able to achieve social justice, there is no point in talking about these things, because all other spaces reflect that. And the social justice has to have in our families, our institutions like family, marriage, everything. They have institutionalized this inequality. They are normalizing this vulnerability. Women are not given equal positions in family. Our children, do we think that our children are given needed respect as individuals in our families? They are sexually abused most of the time in the families, in the homes. So these institutions have to change. And within this institution, there is no intermixing. Dalits doesn't mix with, the upper caste doesn't allow Dalits to mix with that family. Upper class and poor, there is that lower income group, there is that distinction. So first thing I feel that our families have to be democratized. These values have to be really institutionalized within our families. That is very important. Then only we can move on to getting justice. Second thing is that economic justice is not there. In a globalized society where the technically savvy, where people who have access to technology, they are growing fast, they're progressing economically. What about the vulnerable section, the farmers, the migrants, the small scale, the people who are working in the small scale industry, our traders, they are the most vulnerable. People who have no access to technology. So there is no economic justice also. We need to address these things. And when it comes to commissions, the saddest thing, I am not equipped to technically speak about the details of that, the functioning of that. But when it comes to commissions, the most important thing is that they have become political appointments, and it should not be there. When you work for women, when you work for children, when you work for LGBTQ, I hope there should be some mechanism for the LGBTQIA also. When you work for this session, people who are committed to the cause, people who have experience in working in that area, people who are sensitive to the cause should be should be appointed as at the top of the commissions. It should not be political appointments. And these issues are issues the society needs to take up beyond party politics and beyond religion, beyond caste, beyond any division that divides society. Humanity should be the fulcrum and the focal point of our debates and understanding and discourse when it comes to matters that pertain to human beings, their livelihood, their right to life. When they fight with life and they finally succumb, as a society, all of us are responsible. So what I feel is that commissions have become, what as a layperson and a person who's involved with society, and as a woman who has been fighting patriarchy toughly in all spaces where I have been placed. So one thing I feel is that these commissions appointments have to be beyond politics. It should not be spaces where political parties should be accommodating people. When they come into power, they give their favorites their position. It should not be there. The commission should exist for the well-being of the particular sections. We have seen many instances where justice was sabotaged because favoritism was there, because the commissions and the people who represented those commissions, they did not stand for the cause. They wanted to please those people who gave them those jobs. It should not be like that. That has to change. And all the political parties should take a very, very clear stand on that. That is very, very important. Second, there should be sensitivity towards vulnerable sections. People who have privileges, upper caste, people who are rich, men, who enjoy the privileges of patriarchy, caste, class, everything. People should be ready to give up that privilege, and the equality consciousness should be sensitized and grown among our children, in our families, everywhere. That is secondary thing that is important. Third, whenever an issue comes, I don't think the larger public is aware of this thing. The larger public is not aware of where they should approach the commission. Maybe about Vanitha Commission, they have such an idea. But there is no sensitization program. The commission should be engaged in social awareness creation. All these things basically change when the practices of society change, the way we behave change. So the commission should have sensitization programs for children, for women, regarding vulnerable sections, and those proactive programs should be there. Basically, we have something reactionary. When an issue comes, you approach the commissions, we say whether they reacted, they interfered well, where they acted well, but we don't usually have proactive programs. This should be there. There should be policies. Maybe a strong anti-dowry campaign could be conducted. A strong campaign against domestic violence could be conducted. A strong campaign against child abuse could be conducted. A strong campaign against against atrocities against minorities, which is not very relevant in Kerala, should be conducted. A campaign for sensitization regarding transgender communities could be conducted. And also one thing which I have done a little bit of research and planning to do more in feminist jurisprudence, there is also the criticism that law is also not very sensitive. Law is criticized as viewing issues from a male angle. There is an emerging field that feminist jurisprudence talks about law, the need of law being more sensitive. I think these changes have to get accommodated in the legal system also. Sorry, I've taken too much of time. I'm sorry if what I have discussed is not, in expectation with the subject, the point, what you call, the nature of the subject, because this was what I was asked to do. So if I conclude, the first thing is that we can't have justice because COVID is the situation which has exposed all our vulnerabilities. And the vulnerable sections, whom we classify traditionally as vulnerable sections, their vulnerability has increased more and more manifold in this situation. And it is a responsibility that there is more sensitization along with the legal system. The commissions have to act proactively, act efficiently. Otherwise, there is no change going to happen in the system. So first thing, there should be social justice. Social justice cannot happen in a society which is still casteist, which is still religious, which is still proud about its religious majoritarianism, which treats minorities as others, and which treat women as secondary citizens, and which do not treat children as wholesome individuals. So that has to change. If society has to change, that change has to happen among all of us, among the lawyer fraternity, in our homes, and in our personal spaces, in the spaces that we work. For that, and also there is no economic justice. Economic justice has to happen. So that has to do with the policies of the government, the economic policies of the government. The divide is hugely increasing. Vulnerabilities are increasing more and more. That also has to be addressed as a society at the political, economic, judicial, and other levels. And the commissions which have to work, they need not be reactionary, and they need not be spaces for accommodation of people who have lost election, who are party favorites, and absolutely not. People who are committed to the cause, people who are genuine about that cause should be there. Commissions should have, I don't think they have been functioning effectively. So there should be more proactive actions, awareness creations. There should be activities that, they support the cause. The third thing is that personally we need to change. Our families have to be democratic, and law has to change. Law has to be sensitive. We need to self-examine whether, as lawyers, whether we are sensitive to the causes, we are empathetic to the causes, and we see the vulnerable sections with the respect and dignity that they deserve. I am really, really thankful for the opportunity, because listening to Justice Devan Ramchandran sir has been such a privilege, such a learning. Thank you, sir. Thank you to the organizers. And I feel like the program is not useful if we don't change, if we don't examine ourselves. If I don't, I have a son. If I don't bring him up, I try to bring him as a person who is able to think beyond caste, religious differences, gender differences. If I don't do that, I don't think I can bring in any change in society, and I cannot practice it wherever I work. It is applicable in all professions. It is applicable in the case of all commissions. So we need to have more representation also to the vulnerable sections of the society. I think it's a huge task. It's a very important task. The lawyer fraternity, especially of the High Court, and take it up. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Advocate Georgie Vijayakumar, for the wonderful speech and special emphasis regarding the values to be inculcated in our society, and discussed various social as well as the religious aspects regarding the vulnerable group of people. Thank you, Advocate Georgie, once again. Now I welcome Advocate Nobel Raju to deliver vote of thanks.
Good afternoon, all. It is better late than never. We are also in the path of webinars. It is a bliss in the disguise in the time of pandemic. We are also in the path of webinars, and we had selected a topic which is having contemporary or which is having relevance for the time. I'm not consuming your time, much valuable time. I am entering into my duty. First of all, I need to thank Advocate C. Valsalan, the President of High Court ILC unit. He was always a support. He was always a mentor to the High Court unit. Sir, we express our sincere thanks for your guidance and all the support. Am I audible?
Yes, yes.
Yes, yes.
Secondly, Advocate P.T. Thomas, the member of legislature from Trikakara. He's a part of our ILC. He is a member of our fraternity, and he was always with us, and still he is with us. He is well known for the political Kerala, and he is always stern with his political viewpoints and specific viewpoints. So this is a topic which needs special consideration. As a policy maker, we expect that you should take much care in this subject. And we express on behalf of the Indian Lawyers Congress High Court Unit, we express our sincere thanks and gratitude for the time and your presence. Next, our own Honorable Justice Devan Ramachandran, the most vibrant, young, proactive judge of Kerala High Court. So you have given a out-of-box thought regarding the vulnerability, and we had vulnerable sections of citizens. That is a different thought. Normally, we used to think about women, children, and minorities. But you have given some more ideas regarding who all are vulnerable. And you quote that the least, lows, and the little. We, the members of the legal fraternity, are ensuring that, and we, on behalf of the Indian Lawyers Congress, we are giving a word that we will take care of your word, and we will be committed to the society who needs special care. Sir, on behalf of Indian Lawyers Congress High Court Unit, we express our sincere thanks and gratitude for your time and your out-of-the thought. Thank you, sir. Next, our own Advocate Jyoti Vijayakumar. I think she is a part of us. No need of a special thanks, but for the purpose of formality, I express Indian Lawyers Congress High Court Unit's special thanks and gratitude to Advocate Jyoti Vijayakumar, who is the voice of Kerala, who is the voice of women in Kerala, and who is holding the post of Kerala Pradesh Congress Committee Secretary too. Ma'am, it is pleasure, and we express our sincere thanks and gratitude to you for being with us and explaining what are the areas which need to be changed. We need to bring change in our life itself. Thank you. Thank you, ma'am. And some more persons or the committee, Indian Lawyers Congress Seminar Committee, needs special gratitude or special concern. For many months, we are behind the programs, but we couldn't execute. Now I express my sincere thanks and gratitude to Advocate Jasmine, who is heading the seminar committee, who is a chairperson. I express my sincere gratitude to Advocate Jasmine for being a force behind the seminar committee to execute such a wonderful event. And I express my sincere thanks and gratitude to Advocate Ajit Kumar, who is the General Secretary in charge, who is having the charge of seminar committee also. Advocate Vinay, Advocate Sherry J. Thomas, who had provided us all the technical support and legal support. I express my sincere thanks to all the members of Indian Lawyers Congress, senior lawyers, friends, all the lawyers who had attended this webinar from different parts of Kerala. So it is a great opportunity, and this is a time we need to establish ourselves in the society. So this could be a good beginning, a well-begined one. So we can have more webinars if the pandemic continues. Otherwise, we can have seminars, physical seminars. So I express my sincere thanks and gratitude to each and everyone. And one more thing, the Ernakulam Bar Association President, Anil S. Raj is here. So I express our sincere thanks to Advocate Anil Raj, to all the members. Our Vice President is here, Advocate Renu, ma'am. Very thanks. Very express my gratitude. And Senior Advocate George Puntotam is here, sir. Thank you. If I have Dandamani sir also, I think here, sir. Thank you. John Mani also present here. If I had left somebody, I express my sincere thanks and gratitude to one and all for being here and make this an event a big success. Thank you. Thank you all.